Alright, hey there everybody, it's Wayne D, and guess who we're taking a look at today? That's right, he might be injured, he might not be playing much, but he's still the man. It's Tiger Woods, and on the right here you'll watch him swinging in the year 2000. Now this is when he played his best, and everyone says that was the perfect swing. Why didn't he go back to that? But what I really wanted to do was I wanted to show you what, after I've studied this for quite a while, I wanted to show you what I think is the difference between what Tiger's swing has evolved into from this one and how he's still stuck between what he changed to with Haney and what Sean Foley is trying to work on with him and what he was doing back in 2000. So here's what I want to focus on. Now there's the obvious things. Back in the Harmon days, he would move his hands more out in front of him in the backswing. If you watched a recent analysis by Nobilo and Chambly on the Golf Channel, Nobilo was focusing on the wrist. Well, he had a bowed wrist or a flat wrist his whole life, so he's never really cupped his left wrist. In fact, it's becoming more neutral now with Foley, since he's bringing the club more into his body on the backswing. But according to Chambly, now he's too bent over. Nobody can win a major if they're bent over, except for Keegan Bradley, who just won the major and was more bent over than Tiger ever was. So if you look at Tiger's spine angle here, it's within 5 degrees of where it is now. And he has some swings where he's bent over more, so I wouldn't say that's a big deal. And this is Haney. You can see it's bent over a little more than it was in 2000 anyway, so I don't think that's the case. Now here is the case. This is what I have come up with anyway. So let's take a look at the hand path from the top here in the year 2000. So I'm going to connect the dots here and draw that line down. You can see that's almost getting to the ball. Now you'll find that happening all the way through when he started working with Hank in, I guess it was 03, 04. If you look at the swings in, let's say, let's take one from 05. So you'll still see the hands working from the top toward the ball more. There's the top. You can see that obvious move is this way. So still pretty much the same, but if we get over to say 2009, this is where you're going to see some major differences. So watch what happens here. Now this is one of the great shots anyone ever hit. I'm just pointing out the technique differences. If you look at the hands here, now the hands are traveling straight down. So that's way different from that right there. So here with Harmon, he's sort of out in front of him, and then a little more laid off, but flat early, and then more a little crossed. If anything, you can see that shaft is not left like it would turn out to be more with Hank. But here the hands would go straight down to the ground. And if you ask me, that takes more pivot strength to keep that club above the right forearm and in front and coming around. He was still winning everything. In fact, this was a 180-yard 8-iron shot that he hit about a foot from the hole, and he won this tournament. But that's the deal. Now, recently I've been looking at swings and sort of analyzing what's going on, and Hogan is one that comes to mind, whose hands would actually shift above the ball and the shaft would drop in real flat and then steepen the rest of the way down. So here with Tiger, you see the hands heading almost to the ball, the club shallowing, and then recovering to steepen a little bit at the end of the backswing, at the end of the downswing and through the ball. Now when you drop your hands straight down, you can't really afford to have the shaft leaning back on your right hand, because it'll get stuck. So that just makes it more difficult instead of less difficult to get the shaft from getting behind you. So now let's travel up to, let's take a look at the Tiger at the Masters. So here's a nice shot of him on the par 3. Now this is with Sean Foley now. So when we look at the swing here, we can see it's definitely a little bit more bent over. It's lower hands, the arms are almost vertical. The left arm is more across the chest. The wrist is actually a little more neutral, but with all those things going on, watch what happens again from the top with the grip. There's the grip, and there's the action. Again, it's still straight down. Now with the iron, you can see the club stays above the right forearm nicely. But when that swing gets further away from the body and that thing starts dropping straight down, I think it's just harder to keep that shaft from staying back behind. So again, big difference in these swings. Hands coming out toward the ball, left arm more in front or more angling back when it's parallel to the ground, angling back toward the camera. Here the left arm more across the body when it's parallel to the ground. Now until fairly recently I might have been a kind of a fan of this, but as I've studied more of the great players and seeing how the hands have a tendency to come out and then down and left into the ball. It moves, by the way, which are supported by TrackMan, and TrackMan runs the numbers when the club is coming from more out and then left. Numbers are better than when it comes more from the inside. Now let's shift over to the swing that the Tiger made here. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. So here we are. This is the one that torched us around the first round of the PGA, where he hit it in the water over here. Now once again, there are the hands dropping straight down. So Navalo was harping on the wrist. I don't really see that. He won about 1,000 tournaments with his wrist flat. Chambly's harping about the bend in his back. That's not that much different than what he was back here. I mean, I'm saying that those two postures aren't that different. Now, the amount of lowering in the backswing is greater now. It's about the same in the forward swing. But I think that the real difference is the vertical nature of the transitional drop of the hands, as opposed to when the hands were coming out toward the ball. Now the rest of his swing looks mint. If you ask me, if he gets the hands moving toward the ball out this way, he would introduce more rotation into the upper body. It would be easier for him to rotate the lower. His knees wouldn't get underneath him quite as much. If you watch, he looks slightly in the heels, and when he moves, you can see the right knee sneaking in front of the box there. And then as he hits it, he's got to really suck both of his legs back. Upper body looks a little bit more twisted to the right because the arms are dropping straight down again. So it just looks like it's just hard to catch up now with his upper body. And the club falls just underneath the plane. And when he's trying to hit a cut and that club drops underneath that red line, it's going to be difficult. Not to have the ball flare out. So anyway, that's my take on the thing. I'm Wayne D, and thanks for watching the website.